welcome to another video from Redline Technologies. I'm Kushan.
And I'm Sabrin.
And today, a little bit different from the usual, we will be bringing to you a couple of gaming motherboards.
Essentially, we've never done a motherboard review, and so this is going to be our first. And what better way to start the year off than with a review of a brand new product. So on our table we have, as you can see, we have the Gigabyte G1 Killer Sniper B5 and the Sniper Z87. The Sniper B5 has been with us for a few months now. The Z87 is a brand new product. Excellent products in their own right. We're going to address them a little more. You would probably be familiar with differentiated motherboards and motherboards that go under the gaming moniker. A lot of brands are doing it nowadays. Asus started the trend with their Republica Gamers, and now we have Astrock's Fatality series, we have MSI's gaming series,
and the Gigabyte G1 Killer series.
So yes, so essentially this is the reason they do this is because they're trying to cater to a niche market, to the gamers, and the gamers are usually bundled under the extreme users or enthusiast user segment. So these motherboards are colored differently, as well as they pack features that the brand thinks would help or benefit gamers, in their respective gaming fields. So we'll come to some of the features soon enough. So let's draw your attention to the higher end motherboard right now. We have the G1 Sniper Z87. As the name denotes, it's based on the Intel Z87 4th generation chipset. Supports Core i3, i5, i7 4th gen processors. The socket is 1150. This motherboard has a lot of features. They've thrown in everything in the kitchen sink into it, and it's priced very competitively. It's around the $200 price point. We're selling it for $32,000, which is a pretty reasonable price if you consider the number of features on it. So I'm just going to quickly run you through. So some of the most standard features you'd expect on a board of this caliber, it's got excellent overclocking. It's got plenty of CPU phases to feed enough and more current to get your overclock stable at high frequencies and high voltage points. We've got the standard 2-way SLI and crossfire config. It's not full speed 16 because the chipset only has 32 lanes, for those of you who understand what that means. When you go into SLI or crossfire, the two PCI Express slots, as we'll show you on the motherboard soon, split into 8 and 8. But this is PCI Express 3.0, so that means you're going to get all the bandwidth you'll need. None of the graphics cards are going to be bottlenecked in any way. And you've got the high quality all solid caps. You've got RAM speed up to, I'm assuming, 2900 or even 3000 megahertz with overclocking, XMP profile support, large heat sinks on the motherboard, as you'll soon see. So what really they have tried to throw in, okay, they also have the power reset clear CMOS debug LED, which is standard on high-end boards. So what they've really tried to amp up on this motherboard is the audio. The audio aspect of motherboards, a lot of you out there are probably a little biased towards onboard audio. Generally high-end, regardless of how high-end the motherboard is, onboard audio is generally frowned on, and an enthusiast will always opt for a discrete graphics card. While on the other end of the spectrum, you have people who don't really care much for audio, so onboard's fine. But what you have to understand is over the last 5 years, onboard audio has come a very, very long way. And with the current generation of high-end enthusiast motherboards, they've gone to a lot of trouble of squeezing in a lot of really enthusiast discrete sound card level features into the audio chipset that's on the motherboard itself. As you know, Realtek is predominantly the largest audio codec manufacturer, or rather audio chip manufacturer for motherboards, but Gigabyte has taken that a step further and they've put on an actual creative, which all of you know obviously, Soundcore 3D chip that is on the motherboard itself. We'll show you soon enough. The gold chip on it is an actual discrete creative sound chip, which is the same chip you would find on their Sound Blaster series or sound card, which is pretty amazing. And I'm just going to run you through quickly all the really high-end features that you find on this chip. It has a built-in headphone amp, which is amazing for really high-end headphones which have high resistance or high impedance, like the Sennheiser PC350. You need a headphone amp to drive it, and a regular sound card, regardless of how good it is, if it doesn't have an amp, you won't be able to get full volume. And you can have, it probably has like 3 headphone amp levels built into the sound card, which is pretty crazy. That's generally discrete sound card feature. It's got very high quality op amps that they use essentially for the enthusiasts who really want to take their sound to the next level. You can remove the op amps on the board and replace it with even higher end op amps, which you can find freely. If you don't know what an op amp is, it's probably a feature you're never going to use. But for those of you who have dabbled in a little bit of engineering and know how to take an op amp off a sound card and replace it, you can do that on the motherboard itself. It's definitely a first, never been done before. You've got high-end Nichicon, Japanese high-end audio capacitors, They say that the audio segment of the motherboard itself is shielded off with something called EMI shielding, so that there is no electrostatic interference between the rest of the components and the audio sound card, so that the sound quality is kept as clean as possible. Yeah, like I said, you've got the Creative Soundcore 3D sound chip, which accelerates a lot of creative sound features, which we'll run into later on. And it's got a noise guard again, which to reduce the electrostatic. And they've got this gold-plated USB port, which is maybe it's a little gimmicky, but it's supposed to clean out the noise, the electrostatic noise, and it's supposed to give you cleaner power delivery. For USB DACs. A DAC is a digital to analog converter. Enthusiasts with really high-end headphones sometimes use external DACs to convert the sound signal that's coming off the actual sound source into, it bypasses the onboard audio directly, goes through that unit, and it converts the digital signal to an analog signal, and in turn it gives it to your headphones. So for those of you who have external DACs, you theoretically would get much higher sound quality by plugging your DAC into this. So there's also Killer Ethernet, E2200 chip. From our experience, your latencies and pings won't really be improved by using Killer Ethernet, but it comes bundled with an excellent Killer software. Very customizable. You can customize which of your games and software utilize, like how much bandwidth of internet, which is pretty cool. And regardless, it's something that if you were to buy externally would cost you something like $60, $40 to $60. So regardless of how you look at it, it's a free feature that's on the motherboard, free of charge, so if it's there, why complain?
So the second motherboard we'll be talking about today is the Gigabyte G1 Sniper B5 motherboard. It's a motherboard based off the B85 chipset for Haswell motherboards. So it's supposed to 1150 socket, all the way from the dual cores all the way up to the i7s. It's a B85 motherboard, so it's not a high-end motherboard. It's only 16,500 rupees. Which is new for gaming motherboards. Usually gaming motherboards only tend to focus on the highest end of the market, like the ROG series, the G1 series for the previous generations used to cost $250 and upwards. Now this is a B85 motherboard, so it's generally cheaper. Let's see what the features this has. So look at that side of the box. It's mostly a basic B85 motherboard setup. You get the 32 gigs of RAM, 4 slots, and two PCI Express slots. They run at X8 and X4 if you run 2 cards. You can go crossfire on this, but it's really not recommended. But if you really want to, the option is there. This also has the same audio setup as the high-end board, whereas it has a separated sound processing area right there with the shielding, the EMI shielding, everything. You get the Japanese capacitors. This also has a separate sound chip there. Although unlike the Z87, which has a creative chip, this comes with the Realtek chip. You also get your op-amp, which you can replace if you want to. So if you want to amplify your audio, you can do that through this also. As for special features, that's about it for this motherboard. But it comes in the typical green and black color scheme as the other motherboard also. Okay, let's take a closer look at these motherboards. As you can see, both of these, this is Z87, that's the B5. Both of these have a very similar look to them. Very similar heatsinks, the same color, and same number of RAM slots. Pretty much the connectors are pretty much in the same places. Solder ports there, solder ports there. This is the dedicated sound area that you get the sound chip right there, and that's the op amp we were talking about. You can take that out, replace it with the high-end chip if you want to. This is beautiful when this lights up. There is a green light running through there to separate the sound area from the rest of the motherboard. It looks beautiful when lit up. And the Z87 motherboard, you can see all the faces right there covered with 2 quite beefy heat sinks. Even this has a decent sized heat sink. Taking a closer look, you can see it has 5.1 audio with the optical out there. Not too many USB ports, just 6. And only one HDMI port. So if you are running somewhat of an older monitor, you might need to have a graphics card to run off this. Also, you get a coaxial output for your audio. Nothing else special on the motherboard. I spoke about the audio. And going to this, bit more connection options. You get same 5.1 audio with 4 USB 3 ports, and we got the gold plated USB port there for the DSCs. You get what's that? That's a display port, so you can run high-end monitor of this, very high up to 4K resolutions of that, with the same audio connectors there. And further, you get one more thing on this board that you have is you get the onboard, the power button, the reset switch, the clear CMOS button. You have dual BIOS switches over there, and you also have this handy little screen there that shows up all the error codes.
Okay, so that about wraps up our review of the G1 Killer Sniper motherboards. I hope you liked it. Hope it was informative and you had, because we couldn't cover because the motherboards themselves pack so many features, we weren't able to go in depth and describe to you every single
each and every one of them.
But if you guys need any elaboration, you can always drop us a call or drop us a message on Facebook. We'll be glad to
or drop by. You can take a look at them.
Take a look at yourselves. We could tell you in person. That would be great. Essentially, before we go any further, we just want to clarify that you do not need to buy a gaming themed motherboard in order to get good gaming performance. That's a myth that we need to completely alleviate.
Yes, these will give you the exact same performance as a non-gaming motherboard as well.
Even the cheapest, even if you were to buy the H81 at 8,750. Now, I wouldn't go as far as to say the performance is exactly identical. But to a large extent, the performance is 99%. It's essentially the exact same performance. Remember, always the higher up you get in the motherboard chain, the only things that change are the chipset and the feature set. It's almost always the case. And on the higher end motherboards, maybe the overclocking and overclockability. But even that, to a large extent, is by and far the same across a lot of the boards. So don't think you have to walk into a store and you have to buy a gaming motherboard in order to get good gaming performance. Because that's a complete myth. If you're going to buy one of these motherboards, buy it because there are plenty of good reasons to buy them regardless of gaming. They look good, they are made of higher quality components than your regular motherboard. They have a lot of features you won't find in motherboards normally, such as like great onboard audio, SLI crossfire like on the Z87.
And they light up.
And they light up in colors exactly. So if you want something aesthetically pleasing, these boards are a great way to match your case or your graphics card to the rest of your system, which is something we'd recommend it for. But don't think that you have to go in for a Maximus or a gaming series board or a Fatality or a Sniper in order to get good performance. Those things rely on the speed and quality of your processor, and your RAM and your graphics card, and that's it. So I guess that about wraps it up. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please leave some comments, anything we can improve on. If you liked it, like the video, subscribe to us. We've got more videos coming up. I know we keep saying that we'll get more videos out.
We've been a bit busy over the holiday.
We keep saying that. Still no excuse though, in all fairness.
Yes.
We will work on getting more videos out soon. We would love to hear from you as to what you'd like us to review next. So expect another video from us soon. So 2014, said Kushan and Sabrin signing out, I guess.
Yes.
Alright, so see you guys on the flip side next video.